We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Friday, October 24th here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Brooke.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Also, Julie's with us.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Friday, which means we finally made it to the end of the work week. The weekend is just around the corner, offering the perfect opportunity to catch up with friends or maybe even go to a party. But of course, it doesn't have to be anything too crazy or extravagant. Sometimes just relaxing at home, enjoying a good book or watching your favorite show can feel just as rewarding. And after what feels like a long and busy week, everyone deserves a little fun, some well-earned rest, and a chance to recharge for the week ahead. So what about you, Julian? Do you have any plans for the weekend?
Honestly, nothing crazy this weekend. I've been sick the last 2 weeks, so I am looking forward just to relax at home this weekend. Probably going to order some delivery food just to relax at home, watch some movies, maybe play some games on my Switch. Not really sure what I've planned, but I am looking forward to having a cozy and relaxing time at home.
So how are you feeling now? And what happened?
Oh, a lot better. I had the stomach flu, so this is
my
going to be very
God.
good for our topic because I was definitely feeling my grandma era.
You're forced to stay in. So that sounds like the perfect way to recharge. Sometimes a cozy weekend at home with a good movie and some delicious delivery food, exactly what you need after a long week, or especially if you were sick for such a long period of time. So what about you, Brooke? What are
Well,
your
as
plans?
the representative homebody of Arirang, I think I'm pretty qualified to talk about our topic today, and it's probably easy to predict. I am going to spend the weekend at home, enjoying some time with my cat. In fact, my friends often compare me to a cat in terms of my personality because it takes me a long time to get close to someone and to build that trust. And although it might not seem like it because I'm sitting here on a TV show in front of an audience talking, I am actually quite introverted. I'm one of those people who has like a social battery, and so I can have fun when I go out, but I have a threshold, like a limit, and then I need to go back into my little cave and recharge. So that is my plan for this weekend. I'm going to relax, watch some TV. I love reality television. I will hang out with my cat, play some League of Legends. I think that's a very healing, comforting thing for me, just having all of my favorite things at home.
And I can see by the shirt that you wear.
Yes.
How much you appreciate cats.
I love cats. This is my grandma era topic shirt, so yes.
So like both of you mentioned, sometimes just slowing down and enjoying the little things on your own can be the most satisfying. It's hard to beat cozying up at home with your pet and savoring some peaceful me time. So that's the ultimate way to recharge over the weekend. And judging by this trend, it seems a lot of people are feeling the same way. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. For a long time, there was an unspoken pressure to live life to the fullest, meaning that having fun often looked like doing something extravagant, dressing up, hitting a fancy club, or sharing glamorous moments on social media. But recently, that mindset has started to change. A slower, more homebody lifestyle is becoming increasingly popular, especially among younger people. Today on News Generation, we'll take a closer look at this new grandma era trend, how it started, why it's gaining traction, and the pros and cons of embracing this quieter, cozier way of living. So as we just saw in the video, being in your grandma era is all about slowing down, enjoying life at a comfortable pace, and finding joy in simple things like staying at home, pursuing hobbies, or just relaxing with your favorite comforts. So it's a trend that's becoming increasingly popular among younger people, offering a break from the fast-paced, always-on lifestyle that used to dominate social expectations. So Julian, what exactly does this grandma lifestyle look like for the younger generation? How are people in their 20s and 30s embracing it in their everyday lives?
Yeah, so the term grandma life or grandma era that many Gen Zers say refers to a lifestyle characterized by avoiding social gatherings and spending time alone at home. So more and more young people are choosing to stay in and focusing on self-care rather than going out late at night for drinks. On TikTok, the hashtag grandma era has actually been used more than 20 million times.
Wow.
People online are making content about their so-called grandma hobbies, which include things like gardening, sewing, baking, and more. And it is interesting to see just especially as someone who really does enjoy spending time outside, I feel like I'm slowly getting more and more influenced to like this slow and cozy grandma lifestyle.
Yes,
So
come to our side.
it's very interesting to see that, especially, yeah, like especially since the weather's getting colder, I feel like I'm getting more and more influenced.
And I feel like there's so many things you can do inside, and it really just shows how much priorities have shifted. It's less about going out and more about taking care of yourself at home. So it's fascinating something called grandma lifestyle is resonating so strongly on social media platforms. Like, I mean, 20 million uses of this hashtag is huge, and it really shows that the traditional idea of young people always being out and socializing is changing, and comfort and self-care are clearly becoming more valued. And speaking of which, are there any studies or stats that show just how often younger generations are actually staying home instead of going out, Brooke?
Yes, I can definitely walk you through it because there's real data behind this grandma era trend too. In fact, a UK survey found that 67% of Gen Z respondents said that they sometimes spend several days in a row staying home, while 57% of millennials said the same. And it's not just a small group that's engaging in this movement, it's a significant cultural shift. In fact, since 2020, about 1/3 of the nightclubs in the UK have permanently closed. And in the United States, the New York Post recently ran a feature highlighting how many MZers are opting out of nightlife altogether. They're calling it the end of the party generation. Some major music festivals, which once drew in huge crowds of young people, have been canceled in recent years because attendance dropped so much. And in Korea, it's actually similar. The participation rate of people in their 20s in social clubs or organizations is only 49%, which might sound like a substantial number, but it's actually the lowest among all age groups. So it's clear that this so-called grandma era is indicative of people's lifestyles changing. And I actually was quite encouraged by those survey results because I kind of always thought of myself as like a recluse, and maybe it was abnormal, but seeing how many young people also enjoy the same things like staying at home, it makes me feel pretty good. It's like I have a whole little community that likes the same things.
I agree. So those numbers are really striking. Over 2/3 of Gen Zs in the UK spending several days just staying at home. So it's not just the UK. It looks like the same trend is happening in the US with music festivals being canceled and media highlighting how the younger generations are avoiding the nightlife. So all this really shows that this is a global shift towards staying in. And so what's driving this change, Julian?
Yeah, so ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, people have come to prefer spending time at home instead. Furthermore, with the development of digital services, it has become possible to do everything without having to step outside. For example, you can order food through delivery apps, socialize with people through social media, meet people through dating apps, and consume millions of pieces of content through Netflix and YouTube. In addition, as remote work becomes more prevalent, people are spending more time at home actually working their jobs. So the pandemic really accelerated technologies that made enjoying convenience as a home so much easier. Things are just very accessible now, especially compared to the past. Things are just accessible right at your front door. So if you don't really want to leave your house, you don't necessarily have to anymore.
Right, and I like how you highlighted how much the pandemic changed daily life in a way that's influenced how people still prioritize time at home more than ever. And streaming platforms obviously have made it easier to enjoy endless entertainment without having to step out, and remote work has only added to the time people spend at home. But Brooke, what's driving young people to embrace this lifestyle beyond just the convenience of it?
Well, I think beyond the convenience factor, it's also about a mental shift in priorities because a lot of young people are pretty stressed out. They have a lot on their plate.
Right.
They're growing up in a very uncertain economy. They're dealing with things like unemployment, job insecurity, high housing costs, and the burnout that's associated with the pressure for success in Korea in particular. So instead of kind of chasing that endless productivity or trying to push themselves to go to social events if they don't have the energy, they're choosing quiet time at home, and they're focusing on developing and bettering themselves. Plus, it's financially practical as well to stay at home, right? You can save money on things like food and transportation costs, clothes for going out. I mean, unless you're like me and you spend a lot of money on the pay diet delivery apps, you can probably save a lot of money staying at home. Plus, there are many hobbies that you can do at home, and it's cheap. So for me, for example, I love playing League of Legends. I love playing video games with my friends. And before I had a desktop PC in my home, I used to go to the PC Bang a lot. And it's pretty reasonably priced, but if you're spending many hours there and buying lots of food, lots of drinks, it adds up over time. So now that I have a desktop at home, it's much cheaper for me to enjoy that hobby. And there are plenty of other hobbies and pastimes that people are starting to do at home. It's more about priorities shifting towards self-care and bettering yourself.
And because this has become so popular, I think it's really great that people are sharing different ideas of things that you can do at home as well. So far we've talked about what it means when someone says they're in their grandma era, as well as the background and reasons behind this trend. So to get a broader perspective on this, we turn to the Arirang News YouTube channel and ask viewers, if you live a grandma era lifestyle, what is the reason? So let's see what they had to say. So when asked this question, the majority of respondents, 56%, said it's simply more comfortable to stay at home. Another 22% said they enjoy hobbies that they can do at home, while 17% mentioned that staying in helps them save money. The remaining 5% cited other reasons for embracing the slower, home-centered lifestyle. So looking at these results, it's clear that comfort is a main reason people are embracing the grandma life. So with over half saying they just enjoy staying at home, hobbies and saving money is obviously also plays a big part, showing that this trend is about making the most of your time at home in a way that's relaxing, fun, and practical. And it's very relatable because, like you said before, the moment you step out of a house, you end up spending so much money.
So even if you don't mean to, it's just so easy to wind up spending.
I agree. And also, so we'll get more of a global perspective on this. So we're going to speak to a young person from South Africa who has also embraced the slower lifestyle. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Alana, a Gen Z from South Africa, who is currently studying in Amsterdam. She's also, though, lived in home before, where she led a very different lifestyle to the more quieter one she's living right now. So, hi, Alana. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you. So, what are the parts in your life where you're living the grandma era lifestyle, and do your friends also live that way too?
So I think the most grandma-coded thing about my life at the moment is my schedule. It's very rigorous, but for a good reason. So I go to bed at 9 p.m. every single day, except for the weekends. And then I wake up at 7. The first thing I do is get some stretches in, and sometimes I'll go on a walk or I'll go for a run. And after, I'll just go to class because I'm a student. So that's my job, basically. And during the week, or during the day, I will prepare for classes and go to class, and hopefully everything is done by 7 p.m. And because I've been up for already 12 hours, I'm really tired by that time. And then I have dinner and I go straight back to bed, and it's the best thing in my life. It gives me a lot of stability. It's really fun. I think it helps me stay on my A game. But also, yeah, my friends don't really do this at all, to be honest. I do get made fun of quite a lot. We'll have dinner together sometimes, and then 8 p.m. rolls around and they can see me getting nervous. And then they'll make a joke that my bedtime has come and voluntarily leave my apartment. So that's kind of funny. I also think that my hobbies are quite grandma-esque. I really love stitching, especially cross-stitching is one of my favorite hobbies, and crocheting and knitting. But this, I don't think, is so niche to me as a person. Through TikTok, I believe a lot of people have repopularized like handicrafts. And so I know a lot of people that also crochet sweaters and scarves and everything. So it's a really nice hobby to get creative and kind of distract you from the stress of life, whereas you also can have like a cool project at the end. So I'm a very grandma woman by the fact that I wake up early and I go to bed early, and no one can stop me from doing that. But I also think a lot of people in my generation are grandmas because they love crocheting and knitting. So that's kind of the two sides.
Well, I can definitely relate to being teased by my friends for having grandma hours, so thank you for sharing that with us. When you spend your days off at home, what usually motivates you to stay in?
So firstly, I have a really great mattress and I can't complain. So the thought of me being able to take a nap is kind of enough to not motivate me to leave the house. But on the other side, I also live in the Netherlands and it's really rainy and cold. And I dislike the combination of these two weather conditions. So I tend to like to stay inside so that I can avoid the cold weather. But also life is just very high stress, as you also mentioned before. And so the only way for me to kind of mentally recover from the stress I have during the week is to stay at home and then just cozy up on the couch with a cup of tea or a really nice book or a TV show. I think staying at home is a cheap and mentally very relaxing way to spend your day off.
Great. So just to wrap things up, what do you think are the pros and cons of this grandma era lifestyle?
Let me start with the bad news or the cons for me. I really miss out on a lot of social activities. So I have this specific schedule only during semester times. And so in the summer, I don't do this. But then when I am going to bed at 9 p.m., for many students and my friends, life starts at 9 p.m. So I like miss out on concerts. I don't really like go to hangouts or other people that aren't as well organized as I am. We kind of miss schedules and then kind of the connection between some people starts to fade away. So if there's one thing I really dislike or I think is kind of a shame is that it's hard to keep friendships alive when your life schedules are so difficult. That's my biggest regret. And what I do think is very helpful though is that it helps me stay on top of everything. So I work, I study, and that would really be possible without me waking up early and doing my things, and it saves me a lot of time. I also feel a lot healthier because when you wake up every morning and you stretch, your body feels better, and I think this grandma lifestyle kind of grounds you in who you are as a person and gives you the capability to just breathe in an environment that's very result-based and very stress-based. So I think it's what keeps me driving and it makes me able to succeed, but in a healthy way.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you.
So we just heard from our guest from South Africa about how she has embraced her grandma era and the pros and cons she's experienced along the way. It's fascinating to see how personal choices like these can reflect broader trends. So this makes me wonder, so how has the rise of this lifestyle influenced what's becoming popular among young people today? Are these slower, more home-centered ways of living starting to shape the preferences and habits of the younger generation, Julian?
Definitely, especially even in the case of music, there has been a surge in streaming calm music that has been played at home, such as jazz or classical music. And as for content, slow vlogs, home routines, and gardening videos are gaining popularity as well. Now, the trend is changing not just lifestyles, but even people's aesthetic sensibilities. People are getting tired from their day, and when they're home, I'm sure they just want to wind down. And personally, I really do enjoy listening to pop music, but I do find myself looking for the chill mix playlist on my phone, especially at night when I'm getting ready for bed and I just want to wind down and relax. But maybe it's just our generation getting older or possibly just getting more stressed from life in general, but the appeal of slow and mellow content really does reflect this trend.
I think just a few years back, I feel like listening to like club music or like house music was really popular, but now like listening to jazz and like classical music is actually considered really cool now. So you can kind of see how this rise of these types of music has really showed a more shift towards an emphasis on a slower, more relaxed way of living. As you mentioned, the popular content like slow vlogs, home routines, or gardening shows how people are finding joy in small everyday moments. And that's actually quite amazing to see how a lifestyle shift can ripple into the kinds of media and experiences people enjoy. So Brooke, do you know of any other activities that are becoming more popular?
Yes, lately many calming at-home hobbies have become a defining comfort for many young people. And I want to highlight first the home cafe culture in Korea. So what this means is basically with rising coffee and cafe prices, more and more people are choosing to build their own little coffee corners at home. So they have these fancy coffee machines and even latte art tools. So people are teaching themselves how to make these drinks. And the home cafe hashtag in Korea is extremely popular. It shows videos of people making these beautiful drinks set to the soothing music that we were talking about. So from brewing lattes in a personal home cafe corner to knitting, journaling or meditating, these quiet hobbies really exemplify the trendy concept of a small but certain happiness. That means finding simple moments of joy amid your busy life. And this trend has also fueled a booming demand for cozy lifestyle products as well, including homeware and meal kit industries that surged during the pandemic, but they're still continuing to expand as people seek ways to turn their home into a little nest, a comfortable environment that is designed for self-care.
So it seems like the grandma era isn't just a passing trend. It's a reflection of how young people are redefining happiness and success in a fast-paced world. So finding peace in small routines and comfort at home can be empowering as long as we remember that connection and communities do still matter. But it's a welcome shift from the unspoken pressure of constantly having to do something, as long as we remember not to lose ourselves in isolation along the way. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Brock.
Thank you for having me.
For coming in, also Julian.
Thank you for all for having me today.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.